I'm Ryan O'Dowd, and you're listening to Ryan's Audiobooks on the Issues Magazine YouTube channel. Today I'm continuing with Section 6.6, Prometheus Rising by Robert Anton Wilson. We're picking up in the middle of Chapter 3, the Oral Biosurvival Circuit. C.H. Douglas, the engineer and economist, once made up a chart, which he showed to the Macmillan Commission in 1932 when they were discussing money and credit regulation. The chart graphed the rise and fall of interest rates from the defeat of Napoleon in 1812 to the date the Commission met in 1932, and on the same scale, the rise and fall of the suicide rate in that 120-year period. The two curves were virtually identical. Every time the interest rate went up, so did the suicide rate. When interest went down, so did suicide. This can hardly be coincidence. When interest rises, a certain number of businessmen go bankrupt. A certain number of workers are thrown out of their jobs, and everybody's biosurvival anxiety generally increases. Marxists and other radicals are urgently aware of such factors in mental health, and hence scornful of all types of academic psychology which ignore these biosurvival issues. Unfortunately, the Marxist remedy, making everyone dependent for biosurvival on the whims of a state bureaucracy, is a cure worse than the disease. Biosurvival anxiety will only permanently disappear when worldwide wealth has reached a level in distribution where, without totalitarianism, everyone has enough tickets. The Hunger Project, the idea of the guaranteed annual income, Douglas's national dividend plan, etc., represent groping toward that goal. The ideal can only be achieved in a technology of abundance. Extreme cases, persons who take their heaviest imprint on the first circuit, tend to be viscerotonic, because this imprint determines lifelong endocrine and glandular processes. Thus, in extreme, they are baby-faced in adult life, never lose their baby fat, are plump and round and gentle, etc. They are easily hurt, threatened, terrified by disapproval of any sort, because in the baby circuit of the brain, disapproval suggests extinction by loss of the food supply. We all have this circuit and need to exercise it periodically. Cuddling, sucking, hugging, etc., and daily playing with one's own body, another's body, and the environment are perpetually necessary to neurosomatic endocrine health. Those who deny such primordial functions because of rigid imprinting on the third rationalistic or fourth moralistic circuit tend to become dried up, prune-faced, unattractive, cold, and muscularly rigid. The baby functions of playing with one's own body, another's body, and the environment continue throughout life in all animals. This playfulness is a marked characteristic of all conspicuously healthy individuals of the sort Maslow calls self-actualizers. If this initial imprint is negative, if the universe in general and other humans in particular are imprinted as dangerous, hostile, and frightening, the prover will go on throughout life, adjusting all perceptions to fit this map. This is what is known as the injustice collector syndrome in the language of Dr. Edmund Burglar. The female member of this imprint group become radical feminists. The male members are less organized and can be found in fringe groups of the extreme left and extreme right. Such a pattern is unconscious in three ways. It's unconscious because it's automatic. It happens without thought as a robot program. It's also unconscious because it began before the infant had language and hence it's pre-verbal, inarticulate, felt rather than considered. And it's unconscious because it's all over the body at once. Specifically, it's characterized by the respiratory block first noted by Wilhelm Reich, a chronic muscular armoring that prevents proper, relaxed breathing. Popular speech recognizes this state as being uptight. All the most successful re-imprinting techniques for this kind of chronic anxiety work on the body first, not on the mind. The Reichians, Rolfers, primal scream therapists, or as rebirthers, gestaltists, etc., all know, whatever specialized jargons they may use, that a bad biosurvival imprint can only be corrected by working on the biological being itself, the body that feels perpetually vulnerable and under attack. Even neurolinguistic programming begins by inducing the patient to relax and breathe easily. As Gregory Bateson has pointed out, Konrad Lorenz acquired his marvelous insights into the imprinting process, for which he won the Nobel Prize, by consciously imitating the body movements of the animals he was studying. Watching Lorenz lecture, one could see each animal he discussed, because Lorenz would dramatize or become that animal in the manner of a method actor. Even earlier, Wilhelm Reich discovered that he could understand his patients with remarkable clarity by imitating their characteristic body movements and postures. The biosurvival imprints, especially traumatic ones, are all over the body, frozen in Reich's metaphor in chronic muscle and gland mechanisms. If you can't understand somebody's irrational behavior, start by observing their breathing. You'll very quickly get an idea of what's bothering them. This is why all schools of yoga, Buddhist, Hindu, or Sufi, place such emphasis on restoring natural breathing before trying to move the student on to higher circuits and wider consciousness. This is more than the psychological import. Every study of the psychosomatic aspects of cancer and asthma, for instance, finds this pattern of chronic muscular contraction, subjectively felt as anxiety, among the predisposing factors. What the thinker thinks, the prover proves. People are strangling their inner organs every day because they're afraid. Mary Baker Eddy may have been exaggerating slightly when she said all illness is manifested fear, but holistic medicine more and more recognizes that if that damned word all is replaced by the tentative most, Miss Eddy was close to the facts. Even old-fangled MDs who won't consider holistic ideas for a minute admit that some persons are mysteriously more susceptible to disease than other persons. What is this metaphysical susceptibility? Anthropologist Ashley Montague has collected numerous statistics on children who were deprived of maternal love at the crucial point of imprint vulnerability in infancy. They not only died younger than the national average, but were sicklier all their lives and even grew up to be several inches shorter than the average adult height for their sex. What makes for susceptibility, aside from possible genetic factors, can only be such an anxiety imprint, muscle tension on the first circuit. Christian Science, or any other religion that dogmatically insists that God wants us to be happy and successful, can cure such conditions miraculously. What the thinker thinks, the prover proves. Absolute faith that God is supporting you, beamed out from the brain all day long, day after day, signals the muscles to relax and natural buoyancy and health returns. Throughout human life, when the biosurvival circuit senses danger, all other mental activity ceases. All other circuits shut down until the biosurvival problem is solved, realistically or symbolically. This is a crucial importance in mind-washing and brain programming. To create a new imprint, first reduce the subject to the state of infancy, i.e., biosurvival vulnerability. We will enlarge upon this later. In pre-neurological terms, the biosurvival circuit is what we usually call consciousness per se. It is the sense of being here now in this vulnerable body, subject to the raw energies and forces of the physical universe. When we are unconscious, the biosurvival circuit is turned off, and doctors may cut us up without our attempting to flee or even crying out. Exercises. 1. Determine to enjoy this primitive circuit fully from now on. Play with yourself and others in the environment shamelessly, like a newborn baby. Meditate on, unless ye become as a little child, ye shall in no wise enter the kingdom of heaven. 2. Never mind your diet. You will reach the optimum weight for your height when your brain is operating properly. Enjoy one really sweet and gooey dessert every week. Diabetics, of course, should buy this goodie in the non-sugar section. 3. Get high on marijuana if this is permissible to your superego, or on ginseng, which is legal everywhere and recommended by many holistic physicians. And then go to a health spa. Enjoy a good swim, a massage, and a sauna. Repeat every week forever. 4. Take a course on kung fu or karate for at least 3 months. Then reread this whole chapter. You'll be surprised at how much more every sentence will mean. 5. Lie on your back and pant rapidly to the count of 20. Each exhale-inhale cycle counts as 1, not 2. Panting means breathing rapidly through your mouth, as forbidden by almost all experts on health, but this is only an exercise, not a full-time practice. When you reach 20, stop and resume nose breathing in the slow, rhythmic manner recommended by yogis to the count of 20. Then repeat the panting to the count of 20. Then repeat proper yoga breathing. This is known as the breath of fire in tantric yoga. The results are most amusing and enlightening. Try it. Like opiate use, this exercise seems to trigger neurotransmitters similar to mother's milk, i.e. it takes you back to the snug security of breastfeeding, and it is not addictive. 6. Visit an aquarium and observe very closely. Try to see the biosurvival circuit of the fish brain in operation and recognize when and how that circuit in your own brain has operated throughout your life. 7. If you don't have a baby or haven't had one for many years, play with somebody else's baby for an hour. Then reread this chapter. Thus concludes Chapter 3, The Oral Biosurvival Circuit, Section 6.6 of Prometheus Rising by Robert Anton Wilson. Tomorrow we'll continue with Section 6.7, Chapter 4, The Anal Emotional Territorial Circuit. I will see you then. Olam.